Good afternoon, BNI. Welcome to our Visitor Day Support webinar. This is week 6 in our 7-week series. My name is Jenni Nering. I'm the Executive Director for our SoCal BNI region, which consists of all of the chapters that meet in Orange County, Long Beach, and South Bay. A couple quick housekeeping items before we get started on our week 6 information. I have everyone in the listen-only mode. So for any of our participants that have questions as we go along, please feel free to use the control panel and type those questions in. I'll answer them as we go along or save them until the end. Also, under the handout section of the webinar control panel, you'll find several different handouts that I've uploaded for you. Please feel free to go ahead and download those. You can download them through the webinar or also through BNI Connect. All of these are available in the document section of BNI Connect. In addition, if your chapter is participating in the weekly Visitor Day Support email campaign, these attachments will be part of the week 6 email campaign that is sent to each chapter member if your chapter is participating in that process. And finally, just a reminder that the webinar is being recorded. We've recorded this entire series, so if you missed out on week 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, feel free to send an email to your chapter director and they'll be able to get you a link to the pre-recorded version of those webinars to help walk you through the Visitor Day process. Keep in mind that these webinars are not intended to replace the Visitor Day workshop. These are designed to just be additional support and really to reinforce the information that we shared during the Visitor Day workshop. So if you haven't yet attended one of those workshops, get on the events calendar, take a look at what's coming up. I think we'll be offering a total of 17 or 18 of them, coming kind of towards our tail end of the series now. So you'll want to get registered right away if you have yet to attended one of those. So as I mentioned, we are on week 6 of our 7-week series. The next webinar will be for week 7 and 8 combined. We're just going to host one webinar to reinforce the follow-up process for the Visitors Day. But week 6, this is our big week. This is our Visitors Day week in the process. And so we're getting ready to host our visitors, and we're going to cover kind of a little bit of the prep the day of, and also some of the follow-up here during this webinar. As we've done in the previous weeks, a quick reminder of our BNI core values and how throughout the Visitor Day process it's important that we're making sure that this is the center of all that we do. The giver's gain, building relationships, lifelong learning, absolutely traditions and innovation, positive attitude, recognition, and accountability. If you have questions, feel free to go ahead and type those questions in. So today is our big day. This is the Visitors Day in the process. We've done 5 weeks of webinars. Week 6 is all about the big event. All of your hard work is going to pay off today, although keep in mind that this is not the end of the process. This is really the springboard, the launching pad for your Visitors Day, for continued growth and continued momentum. If you're an education coordinator, this week during the Visitors Day, you'll be providing the recommended BNI presentation, which is going to be on page 45 of your Visitor Day handbook. There are 3 different options for you to select from, and we do encourage that you select one of these 3. These are education moments that anyone can relate to regardless of their experience in BNI, their experience in business. And we want it to be something that all of the visitors can immediately, feel connected to without having to know anything about BNI. So you'll see that that's one of the handouts available for you. You can go ahead and download that right here through the webinar app or through the webinar control panel. During the Visitors Day event, the event or the Growth and Retention Coordinator, you get to sit back, enjoy, and watch your event come to life. There's no specific presentation that you're giving this week during the meeting, during the actual Visitors Day. However, you definitely will be involved with making sure that, up to this point, all of the details are lined up. You'll be in communication with the director leading up to the Visitors Day to make sure that we've got our volunteers in place, we've got our check-in team ready, people are registered for the event, that sort of thing. But there's no specific presentation that the event coordinator needs to be prepared to present at the actual Visitors Day. However, immediately following the Visitors Day, the event coordinator will want to be reminding any of the members that are part of the follow-up team that follow-up should begin immediately after this event. And the first way that we follow up is by getting those visitors entered into BNI Connect so they begin receiving the thank you emails. Mentors, this is where you get an opportunity to really give that recognition and celebrate the successes of your mentees. So after the Visitors Day, it's important to make a connection with each and every one of your mentees and celebrate their successes for the visitors that they were able to bring, for any connections that they made, and just really making sure that you're exemplifying that core value of recognition by connecting with your mentees. This is the part of the process where it's really fun to see everything come together and for your group to come together after working so hard towards their goals. During the actual Visitors Day, the president will need to be prepared to introduce their leadership team and support team at the beginning of the meeting. However, they don't have to worry about the responsibility of facilitating the actual chapter meeting, as we have one of our directors that is part of our Visitor Day team that will come in and facilitate the chapter meeting. But we do want to make sure that the president is prepared in advance to give recognition and to introduce all of their leadership team and support team. The vice president will also be giving their vice president's report during the Visitors Day. The secretary treasurer will not be giving a speaker rotation. So they'll want to make sure that they're in communication with their chapter in between the weekly meetings to make sure everyone's clear on what the speaker rotation is for the following weeks after Visitors Day. After the Visitors Day, we still consider this week 6. So in between week 6 and week 7, the leadership team will want to keep in contact with the membership committee in order to be prepared for any new member inductions. We're assuming that you're going to be receiving applications at the Visitors Day, and we'll want to make sure that the membership committee is moving quickly to get those reviewed and processed in a professional and timely manner. The leadership team will want to keep in contact with the membership committee to make sure that that's taking place. They'll also want to be keeping the momentum going by communicating with the members through emails, social media, phone calls. As I've mentioned previously, the Visitors Day is not the finish line, it's really the starting point. And so it's important to use this as a springboard for continued momentum and growth and excitement. And a lot of this will be driven through the leadership team communication following the Visitors Day event. During week 6, the membership committee will want to be prepared in advance to stay for, I recommend, about 45 minutes after the Visitors Day. So any applications that are submitted can be divided amongst the membership committee, and they can identify before everybody leaves who will be making those reference checks, who's going to schedule the interviews, that sort of thing. We want to make sure that the membership committee is promptly reviewing all applications that were submitted for membership. And very important that someone on the membership committee is designated, whether it be the vice president or membership committee member, to keep in contact with the applicants throughout the review process. Don't leave them hanging. Make sure that they know that they are encouraged to continue attending the meeting while their application is being reviewed, and keep them in the loop as to how things are going. If you're having a difficult time connecting with their references, let the applicants know that. One of the things that we hear commonly is that the applicants sort of feel like they're floundering, and it gives them the impression that they aren't really wanted. So membership committee, vice president, make sure you're keeping in contact with those applicants after they've submitted their application for consideration. For our visitor host team, during this week, of course, you've got a lot of responsibility the day of by greeting and checking in and welcoming all of the visitors. Immediately following the Visitor Day event, you'll need to be completing the visitor attendance in BNI Connect, which is the instructions are on page 33. I also facilitated a specific webinar on this topic. So if that's a webinar that you want, we do have it recorded. Reach out to your director and they can send you the link for how to do the visitor host functions within BNI Connect. It'll be important that all visitors are entered in BNI Connect the same day as the Visitors Day, thanking them for attending. The email that they receive does say thank you for attending our meeting today. So if the visitor host team waits to enter them, it won't really give a very professional impression of the chapter if it says thank you for visiting today and it was 2 weeks later. And also begin those follow-up phone calls. On page 44, there is a script that we recommend for the follow-up phone call team. Of course, this is not intended to replace the follow-up phone calls that individual members place, thanking those that they brought to the meeting. This is in addition to. So if you have a visitor that came to the meeting, you would want to make a personal phone call and thank them for attending. But the follow-up phone call team will also be placing a phone call to each visitor, thanking them and encouraging them to either submit their application or return for a second visit. So during the week 6 Visitor Day support email, the attachments that will be coming as part of this email will be the follow-up script. Also, reminders to get your members pre-registered for the following weeks. So any of the RSVPs that you receive, people that say that they'll be attending the Visitors Day and for whatever reason life happens and they don't make it, they should be followed up with. Follow up with those no-shows and the invitees that were unable to make the event. This is a great way to continue momentum and the great visitor activity in the following weeks after the Visitors Day. So once again, week 6, this isn't the end, this isn't the finish line, this is really the starting point. When you accomplish a goal, don't look at it as the finish line. Look at it as the beginning, as the starting point for your next achievement. Week 6 is an exciting week as this is what you've all been working towards, a successful event, but really remember the goal of having a Visitors Day is increased value for your members. And that's going to come through adding new members, building the excitement, reaching your goals, increased thank you for closed business, new contacts and new power teams. So make sure that you take some time to celebrate this success that you've achieved as a chapter, but don't look at it as, whew, we made it. Now we kind of get to let up off the gas pedal. This is where you guys really should be accelerating and picking up even more momentum. We do have a couple minutes left in our webinar for any specific questions. So if you have questions, feel free to go ahead and type them in. I'd be happy to get those answered. As I mentioned, the handouts are available as part of the webinar. And if you're unable to access them for any reason through the webinar link, feel free to send an email to your chapter director and they can get those sent out to you. And also, if you happen to have missed the recordings of the other webinars in the Visitor Day series, your director consultant can get the link sent to you to the recorded version. We do have one more webinar in this series, and that will cover week 7 and week 8. It'll be a combined webinar where we specifically talk about the follow-up from the Visitors Day and the plan to keep the momentum building even after the Visitors Day event. One of our attendees is asking how we get scheduled for a Visitors Day. That's a great question. The best way to do that is to work through the regional office to check date availability. We do host visitor days all year long. However, this is the time of year where we have a big influx of visitor days due to the World Class World Series. So for example, Thursday mornings right now are booked out through June. So if you have not yet scheduled your visitors day, you'll definitely want to get busy getting that worked out right away so you can secure your date. But we'll do the best that we can to accommodate the date requests so that you can get a visitor's day scheduled with your chapter. Another one of our attendees is asking about getting the visitor day scheduled, or excuse me, the visitor day workshop scheduled. We do have several of those already on the events calendar, so you may want to take a look at those and see if any of them work for your schedule. The ones that are hosted at our regional office are the complimentary workshops. They do require that you pre-register and pay in advance. And then once you attend the workshop, you'll be refunded the registration fee. So we're providing the ones at the regional office complimentary. If your chapter wishes to host a visitor day workshop, we're happy to do that. However, that is not one of the complimentary workshops. It does require that the chapter place the reservation as they do for any chapter hosted workshop. And as long as we have the availability and the trainers available, we'd be happy to come out and facilitate a workshop for you for the visitors day. Now, it cannot replace a chapter meeting, so it would either need to take place before your chapter meeting or after your chapter meeting. It is a 2.5-hour workshop. It looks like that's all the questions that we have. So I'd like to thank our attendees for their participation in our webinar. We look forward to hearing about your successful events and continuing to support you as you add new members, as you're beginning to mentor the new people that you add to your team. And we look forward to many success stories. And keep in mind and always remember that your future is bright with BNI. Thank you for joining us.